Hi everyone, this is your math guru. In this video, I'm going to show you how to solve the following timeline questions in financial math. We have Alex deposited 120,000 rands into his savings account. 4 years later, he added 6,000 rands. The interest is 9% compounded annually for the first 3 years and 7% compounded annually for the rest of the time. What total amount will he have at the end of 8 years? Please don't forget to click on the like and subscribe button below for more easy to understand math concepts. And the question read, I'm going to highlight the key point, which is we have our initial deposit of 120,000 rand, and then it has another deposit 4 years later of 6,000 rand. The interest for the first 3 years is 9%, and then for the rest of the time, it's 7%. Note that each of this interest was compounded annually. So drawing my timeline, I start with my initial deposit, which is 120,000 rand. It's a deposit, so I'm going to just put a plus in front, 120,000, so that I can differentiate between my deposit and my withdrawal. So I have that was initially a T0. I have my first year, my second year, and then my third year, and my fourth year. And the fourth year, we've been told that he added, so that is a plus 6,000 rand. And then there was no withdrawal or deposit for the rest of the year. So the year was, I'm going to highlight that, 8 years. So my timeline ends at T8. But note that the interest changed. We have the interest is 9% for the first 3 years. So if I start from T0 to T3, the interest within this period is 9% compounded annually. So I'm going to say 9% annually. And then for the rest of the year, we have 7% compounded annually. So therefore, what I have from T3 to T8 will be 7% compounded annually. I'm going to use the compound interest formula for accumulated amount. A equals P in bracket 1 plus the interest and then number of years. So therefore, to calculate the total amount, note that this is a timeline question. We have that as A equals, I start with the initial deposit, that's 120,000. So I'm going to show you what will happen even with a change in the interest rate. So starting with 120,000 in bracket 1 plus the rate, that's 9%, 9 divided by 100, that's 0.09, and then the number of payments per year, it's annually, so it's compounded annually, so that's divided by 1, close bracket, and then I have that as 1 times the number of years, that's 3 years. What I've done is to represent the first 3 years, whereby the interest is 9%. Now I need to work out the interest, which is 7% for the remaining years. From 3 to 8, that's 5 years. So therefore, I just continue compounding that. So that's going to be 1 plus interest is changing to 7%, which is 0.07 annually still. So I divide by 1. And then I have that as 1 times the remaining years, that's 5. So I'm done with the 120% or 120,000 rand deposited. Then I move to the next input, and that is the second deposit of 6,000 rand. And because this is a deposit, I'm just going to add that so that I have a plus 6,000 in bracket 1 plus. Now for the 6,000 that came in when the interest had been changed to 7%. So I have that as 0.07. It's also compounded annually, so I divide by 1 to the power of. So note that this came in at year 4. And year 4 to year 8, that's 4 years. So that's going to be to the power of 1 times 4. Therefore, this will give me in rand 217,961. I'm going to round up when I'm done. So I have 4,198 cents plus, for the second part of my calculation, I have in rand 7,864 rands 776 cents. And if I add that together, rounding up to those decimal places for my cent, in rand 225,826 rand 20 cents. Let's look at the second example. In my second example, I have a savings account is open with an amount of 45,000 rand. And 3 years later, 23,000 is withdrawn. 6 years after the account is open, 11,000 was deposited. The interest rate was as follows: 6.5% per annum compounded yearly for the first 5 years and 4.2% per annum compounded yearly for the remainder of the period. Calculate the balance of at the end of 10 years. So I'm going to start by alighting all that deposit. I have the initial deposit of 45,000, and then I have a withdrawal of 23,000. 6 years after the account is open, I have another deposit, so I'll put that in blue, of 11,000. There was a change in interest rate. We have 6.5% compounded yearly for the first 5 years, and then 4.2% compounded yearly for the remainder of the period. Calculate the balance after 10 years. So let's draw the timeline together. I start with a straight line. The initial deposit at time t equals to 0, I have that as 45,000. And then I have my T1, I have my T2, I have my T3, T4, T5, T6. Note that at T3, something happened. It says 3 years later, 23,000 is withdrawn. So I'm going to, because this was my initial deposit, I put a plus in front of my 45,000. At T3, I'm going to put a minus 23,000. And then if I read on, 6 years after the account is open, 11,000 was deposited. So that's a plus. 6 years later, that's a plus of 11,000 that was deposited. And then there was no deposit or withdrawal again to the end, which is 10 years later. So that my timeline ends at T10. Now let's put in the change in interest rate. So I have, for the first 5 years, we have 6.5%. So I'm going to draw from T0 to T5. That is going to be the interest rate of 6.5% yearly or annually. And then for the rest of the year, I have 4.2%. So there was no change again. So the rest of the year, meaning that ends at T10. That's going to be 4.2% yearly or annually. So therefore, start with A equals P in bracket 1 plus I to the power of N. So because it's a timeline, my accumulated amount A, I'm going to calculate for each of the deposits and withdrawal. So starting with my 45,000, my P is 45,000 multiplying 1 plus the interest rate for the first 5 years. So I have that as 6.5%, that's 0.065 divided by, that's compounded yearly, so that's 1 to the power of, that's for the first 5 years, so I have that as 1 times 5 multiplying. I need to calculate that for the deposit of 45,000 till the 10th year. So therefore, the next change will be from T5 to T10, 5 years, and that is going to be 1 plus. The interest is now 4.2% divided by 100, that's 0.042 over 1 raised to the power of, I have 5 years left, so that's 1 times 5. So I'm done with the deposit of 45,000. I'm going to move to the next deposit, and that is for my withdrawal of 23,000. So what I'm going to calculate is to see what will have happened if I hadn't withdrawn the 23,000 together with the interest for that period. So I have minus 23,000 multiplying 1 plus. Note that my 23,000 started from year 3. So I have that running from year 3 to year 5, that's 2 years. And then I'm going to do from year 5 to year 10, that's 5 years. So therefore, that's going to be the first interest rate, 6.5%, 0.065. It's also compounded yearly. So I divide by 1 for the next 2 years. So that's 1 times 2. Then for the rest of the year, that is going to be 1 plus 4.2%, so 0.042 divided by, it's compounded yearly. And then because I have 5 years left, it's going to be 1 times 5. So I'm done with 45,000. I'm done with the withdrawal of 23,000. Then I need to go to the last deposit of 11,000. And that will be plus 11,000 in bracket. 11,000 starts from year 6. So if you look at what I have on my timeline, I only have from year 6 to year 10, I have 4 years left. So that's just going to be 1, that's 1 plus the interest at that time, 0.042 divided by, it's also compounded yearly, so that's divided by 1. And because I have 4 years left, so that's going to be 1 times 4. If I put this together, I have that as, in rands, 75,735 rands, 439 cents. I'm going to round up when I'm done. Minus, for my withdrawal, it will have been 32,045,396 rand. Then for my last deposit of 11,000, that gave me 12,967 rand 718 cents. So in total, my accumulated amount will be 56,657 rand. And then in cents, I have 76 cents. Thanks for watching. Bye.